remarks, and we'll have remarks from the chairman, board of trustees, then the permanent secretary, and our chief guest today, who happens to be the deputy head of public service, will speak and also launch these documents, and we'll have them formally signed, and we'll close. So that's how long the program is. And without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to request us to get up standing for the anthems. Today it's going to be unique. We are not going to have the DJ playing the anthems. As citizens of Uganda and citizens of East Africa, we know these anthems, but for purposes of convenience, we shall do one stanza. You have to be, sometimes they say it's better to err on the side of caution. So we shall do one stanza, and we continue. I will ask Dorcas to be ready, Commissioner Dorcas to be ready with a word of prayer. So let's get ready for the anthems. Oh, Uganda. Thank you very much. Commissioner Dorcas, please come and lead us in a word of prayer.
Let us humble ourselves and remain upstanding for the word of prayer. Father God, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for the gift of a new day. And Lord, as we gather in this place, we pray for your presence, that whatever we're going to do and whatever we're going to discuss will be for the glory and honor of your name. We thank you for the documents that we are launching today, and we thank you for the work that we do. Father, we pray that these documents that we are going to launch, may you give us the grace to implement them to the glory and honor of your name, and for the good of the country and for the good of the conservation in the world. In Jesus' name I've prayed.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest today. At this moment, allow me now to invite the Executive Director of Uganda Wildlife Authority, Dr. James Musinguzi, to come and give us welcome remarks and key highlights of each of the documents that are going to be launched today. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies, the Deputy Head of Public Service, Mrs. Anne Mwesiga, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, represented by the Undersecretary, Mr. Seremba, the Board Chairperson of the Uganda Wildlife Authority Board of Trustees, represented by Dr. Stella Tim, the other board members of the Uganda Wildlife Authority Board of Trustees, my colleagues, the commissioners, the assistant commissioners, all the staff of the Uganda Wildlife Authority, all the guests who are invited here this morning, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great privilege to be able to welcome you this morning. I know that it's a very busy day and time of the year when we are closing the financial year. So when you get time to come, we really appreciate you and we thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. Today, we have an opportunity as the Uganda Wildlife Authority to launch the strategic plan, the service delivery standards, as well as the client charter. These three documents embody our commitment, accountability, and ability for us to show and demonstrate that we are organized with a very good plan to be able to deliver with the set standards as we serve our clients and various stakeholders. The documents are going to guide us in fulfilling our mandates and definitely serve the public as required by the public service. Ladies and gentlemen, in our quest to improve efficiency and our work, we had already started actually implementing the strategic plan. And among these, we've been able to automate and offer digitization and technology in our work. For example, in our law enforcement, we have Earth Ranger systems where we have collared the leading animals that we keep, where we follow them and are able to follow them in real time using the Earth Ranger system in order to be able to ensure that they are safe, but also to ensure they don't cause human-wildlife conflict. So Earth Ranger is one of the revolutionary systems we've put in place to monitor our animals. We've also put in place the use of drones so that we can be able to monitor the national parks. We also have an aircraft for surveillance and monitoring of our protected areas. All our payments are now automated. We no longer allow cash payments at the Uganda Wildlife Authority. They are all automated. You pay either by card or by mobile money. We are also able to produce the State of Wildlife Resources report as part of our accountability to Ugandans and non-Ugandans, which showed increasing population of wildlife. Because this is statutory, we are required to inform the world about the state of wildlife resources in Uganda, to inform planning, to inform research. And so we have been able to produce this resources report, which shows increasing wildlife populations. Our guest of honor, ladies and gentlemen, we were able to relocate or translocate rhinos to the wild. Madam Deputy Head of Public Service, rhinos got extinct in Uganda in 1983. The last rhino was seen. But the Uganda Wildlife Authority, working with the Ugandan government and partners, have been able to bring back the rhino, and now they have multiplied up to 61. Mr. Makombo? 61. 61 at Zua Rhino Sanctuary. And for us to be able to fit into the ATM aspirations, we've tried to diversify tourism products and services in the wild. And so we made a distinct decision to take back these rhinos into the wild, so that when tourists go into the wild, they're able to find these rhinos there. We've been able to take 4 to Ajai Wildlife Reserve in Western Nile, as well as 4 in Chidepo National Park. As we talk, we have finalized plans to take 16 more to Ajai Wildlife Reserve and 10 more to Chidepo Valley Conservation Area. And this is going to help diversify tourism products and services, but it's also a historical moment that we can have the rhino back into the wild. That is the southern white rhino species, and we're in negotiations with Kenya Wildlife Service to also take the indigenous eastern black rhino that existed in Uganda as a way of diversifying tourism products and improving tourism in our region. We've also, as a result of introduction of the rhinos in Chidepo Valley Conservation Area, we are working on the bridges, we are working on the ranger posts in terms of infrastructure, to be able to offer welfare and accommodation to our staff for them to be able to do work. We were also able to establish a DNA forensic laboratory at the Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center. Now, if we get illegal meat, we are able to tell whether it is domestic meat or wild meat. So we are able to achieve successful prosecution, as opposed to before, when you would go to court and somebody pleads and says this is cow meat and you wouldn't prove. But now we are able to prove in real time and we can get successful prosecution. And all this has been done by a great dedicated team that I lead as the executive director, for whom I'm very grateful. I think I need to introduce them. Please, commissioners, stand up for the deputy head of service to see you and the other dignitaries here. Please stand up. Commissioners, these are members of the top management team. Please stand up for recognition. Do we have time that you can introduce yourselves? Anyway, I can quickly. Mr. John Makombo heads biodiversity management and has been in charge of developing this strategic plan with his team. John, thank you very much. We have Dorcas Rukundo, Tracy Gomwe Mrs. is the acting commissioner in charge of tourism and business development. I am sure the board is working on that acting issue. I don't want the deputy head of service to ask me why acting. Then we have Charles Tumwesije, is the commissioner in charge of field operations. All law enforcement issues that I've been talking about are under his docket. We have the commissioner in charge of legal and corporate affairs, Senior Counsel Sabila Chemongez, in charge of all legal issues and corporate affairs of the board. Then we have Commissioner David Musingo, who is in charge of community conservation and extra wildlife services. Assistant commissioners, please stand up. Stand up, the deputy head of service to see you. When she hears things happening at UWA, she should know who is delivering them. Stand up, please. Wave to the deputy head of mission and the other dignitaries to see you. That's the team that I work with. There are other colleagues, staff, please stand up. There are chief wardens here, I can see. We have officers, stand up for recognition. We have chief wardens, those ones head conservation areas. We have Mr. Wanyama, he heads Lekemburo, conservation area. We have Elia Chisame, that one heads Queen Elizabeth conservation area. We have Laura Tresije, that one is a senior monitoring and evaluation officer. That team has worked so hard to make sure the plan is through. Yes, and then we have commissioner in charge of finance and administration, Mr. Mwanja Emmanuel. Please sit down. So I want to take this opportunity really to thank my colleagues, because we have formed a very robust team. We have just gone through a merger process where Uganda Wildlife Authority was merged with the Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center. We want to thank the board under the guidance of public service for the great job that was done to integrate the two institutions seamlessly. I think we need to give them a hand clap. And as a result of that, we have got a new structure that we are actually implementing very well. And as a result, we have carried out decentralization. We have posted procurement officers in conservation areas, and they are able to carry out procurement in real time. Human resource officers are now in conservation areas, taking care of the welfare of our staff. Issues of mental issues are looked at in time. Payment of benefits and everything is paid in time. And staff have been aligned in their various positions and are doing a very good job. We've also established a level 2 diagnostic lab at Mwea in Queen Elizabeth Conservation Area, where we are carrying out high-level research and using it as a source of income to the authority as the next level that we are now embarking on. Training in the authority is taken seriously. I am glad to report that we've been able to establish our own training school in Murchison Falls Conservation Area. And as we talk right now, over 1,300 Ugandans are training to become rangers. The first training that is being carried out by the authority. I thank the team for putting this together. The board did a recruitment exercise. The training has started, and we thank partners like Uganda Conservation Foundation that supported us to establish this school. We also had a very successful National Research Symposium that we just concluded, where we had an opportunity to interact with the staff. The authority has also had an opportunity to put up quite a lot of infrastructure, staff accommodation, visitor information centers, new gates, multi-purpose halls. We have acquired road equipment to work on our roads and tracks within the parks, invasive species. A lot of work has gone on, and this comes as a result of a great team that has been formed, for which I'm very grateful to all the staff. I want to thank the various teams that have worked very hard to put these documents together. Mr. John Makombo, Commissioner by Diversity Management, led the strategic plan development, and of course the board took a lot of time sitting down to ensure that these documents are aligned. Of course, I want to thank monitoring and evaluation led by Assistant Commissioner Justice, of course, under Commissioner Mr. Mwanja. They worked on the service delivery standards. The Commissioner Human Resource, Mrs. Susan Mhumza Nyatia, worked hard on the service delivery standards as well as the client charter, working with the various stakeholders. I want to thank you, colleagues, for the great job done. Finally, I thank the organizers of this function that we are able to launch these documents before the financial year ends. Now I want to invite my colleagues to give you a snapshot of what the strategic plan entails, later on the service delivery standards, but also the client charter. Because we work as a team, I want to invite Mr. Kapere Richard to come and take us through a snapshot of the strategic plan, after which I will invite Mr. It's supposed to be Mr. Makombo, right? Mr. Makombo, the commissioner, please come. And then if you wish, you can call the assistant commissioner. It is your document, come. You lead the process. Come, and then Mr. Kapere can support you. After that, I will invite the commissioner in charge of M&E to come and give us a snapshot of the service delivery standards. Feel free to call Mr. Justice Imperial to support you. And finally, I will invite the Commissioner for Human Resource to manage or to take us through the client charter. A snapshot so that we quickly go through and bring everybody on board for them to know what commitments are we making and what aspirations do we have to achieve over the next 5 years. I want to thank you very much for your support. Finally, of course, the government of Uganda is very supportive. They gave us a very good board that we work with, and we shall continue delivering on our mandates as required by law. I thank you, Mr. Makombo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Idi. The head of public service, the representative of the board, and all board members. I don't know whether we have the board chair here. I'm sorry. Yes? Okay. A representative of the board chair of Uganda Wildlife Authority and all board members. My dear partners, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I must say that I'm the most delighted person to have this strategic plan launched today. As the developer of this strategic plan, person who headed the team, I'm happy that at this time we are here to have it launched after approval by the National Development Authority. I want to say that this strategic plan comes at a time when we completed the one of 2018, 2018-2025. And the reason that was 7 years is because we wanted to align it with the NDP 3, because it would have ended around 2023. So it was extended for another 2 years to ensure that we align it with that, the NDP 3. And so that was done, and we developed it through a consultative process. We had consultations with the districts. We had consultations with a number of stakeholders, partners, institutions, our NGO conservation partners. We went down to the communities where we got information, and then also other relevant stakeholders. We brought this document to top management that looked at it and endorsed it. It was brought to the board and finally sent to the National Development Authority for endorsement. And so we are here. We're happy that this has been done, and basically at the beginning of the new financial year. This strategic plan was guided by the provisions of the Uganda Wildlife Act 315, and also addresses a number of documents, especially NDP 4, because we just aligned it to NDP 4 and its provisions. Under the tourism development program. We also aligned it with the 10-fold growth agenda, the NRM manifesto, and the other relevant national documents. So with this, ED, allow me to call the Assistant Commissioner Planning to come and present the nitty-gritties of the strategic plan. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Protocol observed. I'm Richard Kapere, the Assistant Commissioner of Conservation Planning. And on behalf of the ED and on behalf of the Commissioner, my Commissioner by Diversity Management, allow me to just make a snapshot of what is enshrined in this strategic plan. Some of the slides have already been summarized, and therefore I won't dwell much on them. That one has been done. Performance of the previous strategic plan, the ED highlighted a number of things, but let me go through statistics here. We have about 13,605 hectares of invasive species that were cleared in the various protected areas. We have 3,825 hectares of degraded habitats which were restored in Chibale National Park, Mount Elgon National Park, Rwenzori Mountains National Park. We had about 1,153 kilometers of fire lines which were opened and are being maintained currently. We have about 735 boundary pillars installed across 5 protected areas where we had no pillars. We had 374 hectares of encroached land recovered in Mount Elgon Conservation Area. As you may be aware of the history behind the conservation of Mount Elgon National Park. we had over 114,174 patrols which were conducted, leading to recovery of a number of implements and arrest of suspects, and some of whom were prosecuted in courts. We had about 28.5 billion Uganda shillings disbursed under the revenue sharing scheme, which you are aware of. We had about 2.6 million shillings realized from sport hunting, with about 1.8 US dollars million shared with the communities. We had about 495 community groups or CBOs who were supported through livelihood interventions, benefiting about 4,700 households. We had about 7.6 billion worth of regulated access, resource access, through MOUs that we normally enter into with the communities surrounding these protected areas. We had about 568.4 million Uganda shillings disbursed for compensation on the human life conflict. Of course, now these figures have increased from the time this was captured. And then we have about 176 kilometers of electric fence in the Queen and Machon, which have been constructed, and about 13.2 kilometers of buffer wall done also in Mugahinga Gorilla National Park. We have so far recruited over 964 new staff, and a number of staff to total about 2,537 in various disciplines trained, as the ED has already mentioned that currently there's been training going on. And then visitation also increased, 323,197 in 1920 financial year to 4,008, 398 in financial year 23-24, reaching 453,212 in the just concluded 2024-25 financial year. And in this one also there has been an increment. If you see that table, you can see that we are at an increasing trend, and that is most important. In terms of pictures, of course, pictures talk more. You are seeing that we are doing a lot on roadworks. I think now most of the protected areas have very nice roads and tracks, and the visitors are enjoying the services. The communities are enjoying being near these protected areas. You can see they no longer go to conflict with animals inside these wildlife protected areas. We have had tanks for them, and they're very happy. We have also done electric fence in some of the hotspot areas, and you're aware that communities in some of these places are now sleeping very well, especially Rubeliz and other places. The elephants no longer cross to destroy their crops. We have had this problem, the invasive alien species, but also the problematic species, plant species, which we are trying very hard to eliminate so that we have a palatable vegetation growing for the wild animals to eat. And if you see the first picture there, there's quite some community work going on there. And if you see the lower picture, you'll see that this area has been eradicated of invasives, and the animals are back and they are grazing normally. You're also aware that in some places, in mountainous areas, in the boggy areas, it has been a problem for the tourists moving to those areas for attractions. But now we have improved in terms of the boardwalks. As you can see, that kind of boardwalk that we have done. If you go to Rwenzori now, if you go to Mugahinga now, the visitors are enjoying. The ED also talked about the training institute. If you see the building there, part of the building that is there in green, that is part of the training institute. modern art that we are having there, and we have a lot of training sessions going on there. We are also having, we are constructing better tourism gates, entry gates, as you can see in that picture, and quite a number of other infrastructure that I have not included here. What is our direction for the next 5 years? The purpose of this plan is to provide coherent, result-driven roadmap that will facilitate effective and sustainable management of Uganda's wildlife resources. In that, our vision, our mental picture, our dream, we want to be a global leader in wildlife conservation. That is our dream in the next 5 years. Of course, you are aware that you may not achieve this dream, but you work towards achieving that dream through the mission. And the mission is to assembly manage the wildlife and wildlife conservation areas for the benefit of the people of Uganda and the global community. So through this mission, we are able to be very well directed towards achieving our vision. And our strategic goal is to conserve wildlife resources in Uganda to support nature-based tourism development. That is our strategic goal in the next 5 years. Of course, to achieve all this, as a staff, we need to be having our core corporate values. And we have 5 of them. Integrity. Our staff must be people of integrity. Must be committed to conservation. There must be teamwork. There must be customer-oriented and professionalism. So once we have staff who can be identified in these 5 core values, then we should be able to achieve our strategic goal, our mission, and our vision. We have 5 strategic objectives under which we are going to be undertaking the various interventions that are detailed in the strategic plan. One is to enhance the ecological integrity of all wildlife conservation areas to ensure sustainable biodiversity, ecosystem functionality, and resilience to environmental threats. The second strategic objective is to ensure the effective protection, recovery, and long-term survival of Uganda's wildlife resources. The third is enhance inclusive and effective community participation in wildlife and habitat management. And the last one is strengthen institutional governance, leadership, and organizational capacity to enhance accountability, effectiveness, and sustainable delivery of WA's mandate. So all that we are going to be implementing will be within these broad strategic objectives in the next 5 years. Accordingly, therefore, we have 5 priorities, key priorities that we are going to implement in this period of this strategic plan. Under the strategic objective number 1, we are looking at investment in ecosystem restoration. And here we are talking about invasive alien species removal, selected species translocations, biodiversity data acquisition and management, and wildlife breeding and reintroductions. I've gone further to describe what this means in detail. We are saying at least 5,000 hectares of invasive alien species of plants in all wildlife protected areas cleared and maintained with emphasis in Queen Elizabeth Conservation Area, Lake Mburo National Park, Kidepo Valley National Park, and Machon Falls National Park. Also in Torres Mliki and Katonga Wildlife Reserves. That is our key areas in terms of invasive alien species management for the next 5 years. All areas that have so far been cleared will also be maintained, definitely. Otherwise, if you don't maintain, that means repeat removals. If you don't maintain, then it goes back to the original situation. And we are saying, again, problematic native species, such as Acacia oka in Ekimburo, Brassas ethiopium in Machon Falls will be managed by controlling their density to levels that may not cause ecological or tourism disruption. The native plants, these are plants that are indigenous in Uganda, but they are, because of certain changes in the climate, they are taking over other species, and therefore we need to manage them. If you have gone to Machon of recent, you will see a lot of Brassas palm, and if you are a tourist, you may not easily have a nice view of what you want to see. So those will be managed so that they don't cause the imbalance in ecology, but also the tourism disruptions. Second issue that we're going to tackle under this investment area, we shall translocate key species to selected protected areas, including 10 lions and 200 cobras to Kidepo Valley National Park, 50 zebras, 20 giraffes, and more northern white rhinos to Ajai Wildlife Reserve, 15 giraffes to Pian Upe Wildlife Reserve. So specifically, that's what we are targeting in terms of translocations. The third area is maintaining the ecosystem diversity and natural habitat heterogeneity in protected areas to enhance overall species diversity and not deliberately replacing them with other habitat types. Notable are the grassland, wooded grassland, woodland, and non-forest habitats in otherwise forest-dominated ecosystems, such as in Chivale National Park. So we need to have a kind of ecosystem diversity and heterogeneity so that we avoid the monopolies of species. When people are talking about eucalyptus being planted by some organizations, that's what we call monopolistic kind of vegetation, where you don't find any other biodiversity underneath, and that's not good for the country. So in this subcomponent, we want to ensure that we do very well management so that we have total and enriched biodiversity in these protected areas. The fourth area under this investment, number one, we are saying with increasing human population and protected areas becoming islands, which we have observed in most areas that we have traveled to, who are working with relevant stakeholders shall acquire and or manage collaboratively at least 4 animal corridors where wildlife use rights can be granted on request. And the targeted areas include Aswaro Rim, Chikorongo Muhocha area, Kidepo Kenya, Matheniko Bokora animal corridors, and within this period, we shall also acquire the Cycads area. Yeah, as I said, these areas are becoming islands. People are occupying these corridors, which were being used by wildlife to cross over for various reasons. And since we still have some of these corridors existing, we need to have management arrangements to ensure that these areas are not disseminated. And if you are aware, we have the second area in the Kamange area, around Mpanga River, very unique species, dinosaurs that we need to collaboratively working with other stakeholders to manage. The second investment area is technology. The ED has explained what we have so far started implementing under this area. In order to address the current and potential illegal activities in and outside wildlife protected areas, like prevention of poaching, acquisition and management of new wildlife refugia, IT infrastructure, and establishment of GIS units, mobility and management of protected area boundaries. That is the investment area number 2. And under that, we are looking at least one multi-purpose drone with external attachments such as cameras with infrared vision and speakers procured and in use, and also integrated in the earth radar system in each conservation area. It's a very important equipment. If you fit it with these other attachments, you can get very many parameters that will help in conservation of wildlife. The second area under this investment is the investment in forensic science techniques to improve determination of origin of biological resources and tracking them. This will support evidence gathering and packaging for successful prosecution of suspects. Yes, we have challenges in the courts because we don't have some of these technologies in place, but once we're able to track a certain resource that this was picked from this area, then we are able to win these cases. The third area under this investment is in partnership with service providers. We want to enhance communication and digital transformation of business through internet connectivity for improved service, strengthening of internal accounting controls for financial discipline, visitor comfort, rapid response in emergencies such as human safety and animal rescue. Again, this is a very important area where we need support the private sector and even our own infrastructure with some of these communication requirements to be able to respond to emergencies and safety issues very fast. The third investment area is the investment in relevant and appropriate human capacities and welfare development, including appropriate infrastructure and facilities. Here we are talking about skilling of human resource, provision of staff infrastructure, continuous training, and enhancement of the supervisory function. And under this priority investment area, in the next 5 years, we want to target to accomplish the following. 1, who shall recruit and train 1,500 rangers, carry out refresher training of 1,500 staff, and professionally train 10 staff in Mweka in wildlife management over the planned period. These are target numbers, but we are not limited to this. It can increase depending on the resources and the circumstances at the time. Who shall ensure that all employed staff are properly housed through construction of 110 unit structure, 16 unit structure, and 414 unit structure annually in each conservation area. This is a target that in each area, in each conservation area, at least each year, we have these constructions taking place. We are lucky that under IFPA a number of these structures are already coming up. If you go now to Katonga, for example, all the units, all the outposts have got constructed. The very new houses are in place, and many other places. The first investment area is investment in coordination, collaboration, lobbying, and livelihood support with and for key stakeholders. Here we are talking about continuous positive presence in all community and leadership levels in the country. We are talking about observance and compliance with the requirements in the national and international conventions and treaties, including cross-border commitments. And under this area, we are looking at the National Plan for Management of Wildlife outside protected areas shall be reviewed and implemented appropriately. Review of the National Human Wildlife Conflict Strategy and the National Conservation Education Strategy. These documents are in place, and they are the ones that help us to manage wildlife outside protected areas, but also work collaboratively with communities in the whole country and beyond. And so when they are due, we need to review them and continue implementing these strategies. All parishes surrounding protected areas implement at least one or more livelihood project by the 5th year of the plan. So we have quite a number of parishes which are surrounding protected areas. And our target is to ensure that each parish at least have got a livelihood project by the end of 5 years. Now that makes us friendship. It increases the friendship between UWA, between wildlife, between conservation and the communities that are neighboring us. The last investment area is in tourism product development, diversification, and promotion. And here we are looking at development and maintenance of tourist infrastructure and facilities in protected areas. We are looking at development and promotion of new tourism products beyond the traditional ones that we are aware of. And these will include things to do with culture, community, water bodies, tourism product packaging. And under this area, we have 3 key points. 1, new tourism products will be developed especially to do with water tourism. We want to explore the water bodies of this country, where we are having slightly not doing very well. And there's one key project we're looking at is 2 boat concessions. No, 1 boat from Toro Semliki through Machon Falls National Park to Ajay Wildlife Reserve to explore the Nile, develop and promote, and also develop and promote butterfly tourism. So we are looking at just an example of butterfly tourism, which is not yet very well developed, and yet we have quite a lot of butterflies, different species that tourists would be interested to see. But also we are looking at if we can have a private or whatever arrangement, but having the boat from Toro Semliki, there is River Semliki down there, you go through to Lake Albert, through to River Nile, and end up in Ajay, with very many stops, of course. That can be a very good product that we are looking at in the next 5 years. The other area is establishing alternative tracks in the Machon Falls National Park, away from the section where we have oil drilling, and open up the southern bank also for tourism, and renovate the top, the bottom to top of forest track. So that is another area that we have targeted in the next 5 years. As I conclude, we will need about 1.5 trillion to implement this plan. Thank you very much.
Our dear chief guest, Chair BOT and members of top management, invited guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the launch of Uganda Wildlife Authority's service delivery standards. The service delivery standards are a commitment to the public and the stakeholders. These define the quality of service, timelines within which the service is delivered, and the responsibilities of the institution and the stakeholders. The service delivery standards demonstrate our commitment to transparency, accountability, efficiency, and continuous improvements in service delivery. Today's launch marks another milestone in strengthening institutional performance and enhancing public confidence in the service that we provide. To give us a comprehensive overview of the standard delivery standards, including the objectives, key commitments, implementation frameworks, and what they mean to our stakeholders, I wish to invite the technical team led by the Assistant Commissioner, Monitoring and Evaluation, to take us through the presentation. Thank you, and it's my pleasure to invite the Assistant Commissioner, Monitoring and Evaluation, to make the presentation. Thank you.
The chief guest, head of public service, the permanent secretary, Minister of Tourism, chairperson board members, executive director, or commissioners, assistant commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, the protocol observed as highlighted by my boss, I'm here to present about service delivery standards. My name is Justus Mpirirwe, Assistant Commissioner, Planning, Monitoring, and Evaluation. The background, OWA is mandated to conserve, economically develop, and sustainably manage Uganda's wildlife for the present and future generations. As public expectations increase, OWA must provide services that are timely, accessible, transparent, customer-centered, accountable. The launch of service delivery standards is therefore a strategic response to these expectations. It is today that we are going to launch these service delivery standards. And I wish to inform the House that these service delivery standards have been approved by both Ministry of Public Service and the National Planning Authority, as highlighted by ED. Service delivery standards outline what we expect from the organization, that is OWA, and what clients expect from us. What we expect from clients and what clients expect from us. In the context of OWA, service delivery standards will help us to ensure that services are delivered in timely, transparent, professional, accountable, and customer-centered manner. For example, all tourists must be attended to within 10 minutes upon arrival at park entry points. It is a standard we have set. Failure to work towards this standard, that means we have failed. And as M&E, we shall come back to evaluate if we are working well on this standard. Reported dangerous wildlife incidents shall receive initial response within 12 hours in affected conservation areas. Client inquiries submitted through official communication channels shall be responded to within 2 working days. We note that in the delivery of service delivery standards, explicit commitments on the quality, quantity, coverage, access, cost, and timelines in which services will be provided to our clients. And we note that service delivery standards specify what services will be provided, to whom the service will be provided, to whom the expected turnaround time, responsibilities of both UWA and its clients, feedback and complaint handling mechanism. Of course, the legal framework, service delivery standards are aligned to Public Service Standing Orders 2021, the National Planning Authority Regulations 2018, and other documents, and are aligned to Vision 2040, National Development Plan for UWA Act, under the 10 for the growth strategy, the ATMs, we contribute to tourism, plus the enablers, like peace, security, good governance, infrastructure, and social amenities. Of course, they are aligned to the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, Public Service Standing Orders, National Development Plan 4, UWA Act CAP 315, UWA Strategic Plan that we are yet to launch also and has been approved by NPA and board, UWA Client Charter. Why service delivery standards? The service delivery standards will improve customer satisfaction. At the end of the day, when we implement service delivery standards very well, our customers will be very happy. Increase transparency and accountability. Promote efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency, achieving maximum output at a minimum cost. Strengthen institutional credibility and improve staff performance. The implementation of service delivery standards, we are saying all departments, all divisions, all stakeholders, all conservation areas are required to implement and uphold service delivery standards in their mandates. Monitoring and evaluation strategy. Under M&E, we shall always monitor the performance of service delivery standards, and it will be led by the Division of Planning, Monitoring, and Evaluation. And both internal and external stakeholders are important. Our management must participate and must support, especially top management, staff, the board chair and board members to provide oversight, Ministry of Tourism, also for policy, Office of the Prime Minister, which is in charge of coordination for M&E activities, Ministry of Public Service, National Planning Authority. They have all clearly defined roles in this document. Feedback and complaints management. Clients will provide feedback through telephone lines, email, website platforms, social media channels, suggestion boxes. Through this feedback will support continuous improvement. Call to action. The launch marks the beginning of a new culture of service excellence. Now that we have launched, we are calling upon members, all our employees, departments, divisions, every partner, every stakeholder to champion these standards and make them part of our shared responsibility. As I conclude, I want to thank NPA for the guidance in aligning service delivery standards to NDP4 and Vision 2040. Allow me to recognize NPA team. It is here with us, led by manager strategy, stand up for recognition. Then the senior, that is Godi Kwizera, is a senior strategist. And then the planner in charge of strategy. They are here. They worked with us to ensure the strategic plan, to ensure service delivery standards are in place. So we want to thank them so much. I wish to note that service delivery standards, of course, they were approved. Service excellence is not an event, it's a culture. Let it be a culture now for UWA. Together, we shall build a more responsive, accountable, citizen-centered Uganda Wildlife Authority. I thank you. Asante sana.
morning, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to stand on the protocol that has already been established. My name is Susan Nyatia Muhumuza, Commissioner Human Resource, and I'll be talking about the client charter. But before I start, allow me to recognize my team members from the Department of Human Resource, Philo, Assistant Commissioner Human Resource, you can stand up, and Joanne, Principal Human Resource Officer, who have ably supported me in the development of this client charter, but also members of top management and the entire team at OA. So I'll talk about, because it's a snapshot, just highlights, I'll go to the different chapters. It's a very brief document with 7 chapters. The first chapter is the introduction, where we talk about our vision, mission, our purpose, that we exist, and also define why we have a client charter. So the client charter is basically a formal declaration of OA's service standards and client commitments. We define our standards of service and the values that guide our conduct, as they were mentioned by the Assistant Commissioner Planning. We also define the mechanisms through which our clients will hold us accountable, and that's why we invited you here. And this is not just for external clients, but even the internal clients. We make commitments across. The purpose of this client charter is outlining our principal services and who our clients actually are. So we've defined our clients, we've defined their rights and responsibilities. We've also, there's a guide on what our clients should expect from us, procedures for handling feedback, complaints and appeals, and then we also present an accountability framework, just like it was in the SDS. These documents speak to each other. That's why we started with a strategic plan, service delivery standards, and then the client charter. All these are to improve our service delivery. In chapter 2, we talk about our principal services and commitments, where we define the access criteria. How do you access our services? What are the delivery points, our protected areas, our offices, and the timelines. As mentioned in the SDS, how long are you going to wait to get a service? And where costs are applicable, we have mentioned it. Where a service is free of charge, we have also mentioned in our client charter, so that you are not conned by anybody. It could be an external person who will tell you that to access a service at OA, everything is for paying. Some of our services are actually free. Many of them are free. We also talk about our service commitments in line with the strategic plan, like has been already outlined. So we pick out those commitments and put them also in our client charter, but really briefly for somebody to understand. We talk about commitments to mainstreaming cross-cutting issues like health, safety and environment, gender equity, HIV/AIDS, human rights, social inclusion, anti-corruption and transparency. In chapter 3, we define the general service standards and obligations of our staff. So things to do with duty attendance and time management, access to our offices, handling of inquiries, customer feedback, access to services, standards of communication, and the general conduct. How do our staff conduct themselves while dealing with the customer, both internal and external? We also talk about our obligations as our staff. Customer service excellence is an obligation. Being transparent and accountable is an obligation. Ensuring safety and protection, conservation and education, responsiveness to feedback and complaints. When a customer has complained or given you feedback, how do you respond? How do you handle that feedback? Collaboration with communities. Like my colleagues mentioned, for us, we work with communities. There's no conservation without a community. So communities are key to us to deliver. Then chapter 4, we outline the client rights and obligations. So just like they have rights, they also have obligations. So as our clients, you have a right to professional service, a right for value for money where you have paid for a service, clean and safe facilities, our protected areas, our offices, they must be safe for you. That's why we have rangers in the field trying to keep law and order and have a secure environment for you. But we also ensure that our protected areas are kept clean through observing certain requirements. Accessing our services without discrimination is very key for us. That's your right. Memorable experiences. When you pay for a service, it should be memorable, especially when you visit our protected areas, and responsiveness. However, as clients, you also have obligations. You have to comply with regulations. We have regulations, especially in our protected areas, regarding your code of conduct when you visit. You have to pay applicable fees where necessary. You have to be responsible for the environment, because without being responsible for the environment, we will not be able to conserve for generations. You have to respect wildlife and communities. You have to ensure that you're safe. Be safe. Practice safe practices when you're visiting us, and report where necessary and cooperate, but also give us feedback, because we aim to improve. Then we have very clear code of conduct for clients visiting our conservation areas. We know that when you visit a conservation area, we have a team that takes you through the do's and don'ts, but we have put them in our client charter so that every client who can access it both online and a hard copy knows well in advance what they're expected to do. So we have gorilla tracking, we've put the code of conduct for chimpanzee tracking, for nature walks, what are you supposed to do, for bird watching, what are you supposed to do or not do, for tourism cycling, game drives, when do you have a game drive, how do you do it, terms of speed and all that. Then we also put procedures for using drones while in our protected areas, because we do not want people to get your drones captured or taken away because you've not followed the procedure. So we have put those guidelines there to be followed. Under chapter 5, we provide for feedback mechanisms and complaints handling, where we talk about feedback and communication process. How do you communicate? How do you give us feedback? How long do we take to respond to you? How do we handle client complaints? What are the service standards for complaint handling? We assure you of confidentiality, because we know that many times people fear to complain because they are not sure of where it will end. But we assure you of that, and that's why it is going to be handled by a specific office. We have a whistleblower protection policy at UWA, but we also, of course, abide with the one of the National Whistleblower Protection Act. Then we have the appeal process. When do you appeal and how do you appeal? All these are very clear in our client charter. Chapter 6 is about dissemination and implementation of the client charter. Today we are disseminating. That's why we are here, to launch the client charter and the other documents. We'll have some awareness campaigns. We shall distribute this charter. Today you will leave with a copy of the charter, but we shall also distribute to other stakeholders and have it available on our website for access anytime, any day, and also to all our staff. We shall build capacity, because we need to train this staff. These are new standards. They've not been using them before, so we have to train, build a lot of capacity, not only for the client charter, strategic plan, the service delivery standards, and of course the client charter, because these three documents speak to each other. We shall do community outreaches, and I'm happy that my friend Vanis Mirembe is here. This is her area. She will use the client charter as part of her engagement tools. Then feedback mechanisms, and we'll have a call center. Effective next financial year, under the tourism department, we are setting up a call center. And this call center is really for quick response to complaints, feedback, and any help that our customers will need. And it is under Dorcas Rukundo, Commissioner Tourism and Business Development. Just like we had in the service delivery standards, we also have an accountability matrix where we have different responsibility centers playing different roles. The Board of Trustees has a very key role to play. They do the oversight, they approve the charter, and I'm happy to note that they actually approved this charter before it went to Ministry of Public Service and also got approved. They also have duty to review compliance reports. The ED holds the accountability for client charter delivery, but also is supposed to allocate resources on an annual basis, because whatever we commit to do cannot be done without resources. So we shall require resources. Commissioners, heads of departments, divisions are supposed to ensure that we implement these service standards across the organization by ensuring that their staff are actually doing what we are committed to doing. The Human Resource Department will train staff for the client charter commitments, but also integrate these commitments in the performance appraisal tool. So we shall be assessing staff on these commitments. They will not just stop at saying or talking. We have to see, are you really implementing it? And we shall have customer service surveys under the client customer service unit, where we'll get feedback
on how we are handling the different commitments. But also this unit is supposed to handle complaints and feedback and to maintain a hotline, work with the service center, customer service center, and prepare reports to management and ultimately the board. Internal audit will have to check us, are we complying? So they will conduct compliance audits. They'll verify whether we are adhering to the charter standards. They'll recommend corrective actions. The clients, our clients, both internal and external, will do independent monitoring, provide feedback on how we are implementing. They'll collaborate on awareness campaigns. We can't do this alone. So when you are out there, our stakeholders, please speak for us where we are not, because you have the client charter. And give us feedback. What are people saying about us in terms of the standards that we've set? But you also participate in our surveys when we contact you. The Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, I'm glad that the PS is present, represented. You're supposed to provide us with external oversight, being our mother ministry, to review our annual charter compliance reports and enforce accountability. The Office of the Prime Minister, the Deputy Head of Public Service, who is present with us here, is in charge of monitoring performance and ensuring that we are actually accountable and are implementing the client charter in the review that she conducts annually on the Executive Director. Our last chapter, chapter 7, provides contact information. How do you access our services? How do you access us? So we've given you all our contact information, including where our conservation areas are, their contact numbers, their emails, their websites where applicable, but most of them are on the UA website. I would like to end by thanking you all for your attention and thanking you for attending our launch. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the commissioners and other colleagues, for this elaborate presentation about what we are launching today. Ladies and gentlemen, we realize that a lot of work has been actually invested in developing these tools and documents. I would like you to join me to thank the team at the Uganda Wildlife Authority that has worked tirelessly together to reach where we are. But also, I wish to categorically thank very, very critical stakeholders who have supported us. The National Planning Authority. I know you've been recognized, but we want to thank you very, very much for this great support. We could not reach here if they had not let us, because they had to approve the strategic plan, the service delivery standards first, and of course I don't forget the Ministry of Public Service. Don't get tired. We have the board. And of course, the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities that support us immensely. Our guests of honor, what I can promise you is that we are going to disseminate these documents among all the staff of the Uganda Wildlife Authority, so that they know the commitments we've made. They have been involved anyway in developing them, but we have to remind them to make sure we achieve what we have aspired and planned for. One of the findings I got when I was doing my MBA, because I did my study on strategic plan formulation and implementation, was that very many nice strategic plans are actually developed, but they remain on the shelves. They are never implemented. And so I want to ask my colleagues that we have to make sure what we have developed is implemented. And right after this launch, we must sit down and look at the implementation strategy. Do we have enough human resources? Do we have enough financial resources? How do we intend to raise these resources? So immediately after here, it is work that we are going to do to make sure we implement these documents. I want to thank you. I now want to hand over back to the MC to take us through the rest of the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ED. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say that thank you for the presenters, and let's put our hands together for the people who shared with us the highlights of the 3 documents that are going to be launched today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together. Thank you. Our chief guest in our midst, we have quite a number of stakeholders who have joined us this morning, and I would like to recognize the presence of Dr. Operemo Vincent. He's a manager of strategic planning from the National Planning Authority. Thank you very much. We appreciate your input into our strategic plan. We also have Mr. Fred Ojok, who is representing the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Service. Thank you very much for reviewing these documents and subsequently approving them. We also have the chairman of USAGA. This is Safari Guides Association. Mr. Albert Biarahanga is here with us. Thank you. We had CV Tumsime. I don't know whether she's still around. She's the president of the Association of Tour Operators. But at least I saw her here. She could have stepped out. And then we have the chairman of Exclusive Sustainable Tour Operators. Now, this is very unique. We call it a store. And that's none other than Mr. Byamkama Boniface. Byamkama Boniface, please stand up for recognition. People have seen the hand, they have not seen the person. Byamkama Boniface is also a honorary wildlife officer of Uganda. So we thank you. I saw the commissioner, wildlife conservation in the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, who also happens to be a board member, Mr. Oesjire George. Thank you very much for coming. I've seen the principal, UHTTI. It's a college now. Yes. Mr. Richard Kawere. And when you see the sister agencies here, it says a lot about how we have interagency collaboration. The other day, we had a research symposium organized by UWA and the Research Training College in Kasese. So in the ministry, we work together as a team because we are just one house, one family, but of course different rooms. So that's the difference. But when we are in a sitting room, we are all together as a family. When it's time to go to bed, we go to different rooms. And that's what it is. I come to UWA, he goes to UWA at the college, like that. But we work together because we know we have a mandate to deliver for the government that has established these entities. The ED introduced the board members and also the members of top management. But I would like to say that we recognize whoever is here, whoever has been invited and you've been able to show up, we recognize you and we thank you for coming and we appreciate that you are here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, allow me now to invite the chairman of the Board of Trustees of Uganda Wildlife Authority. I've been informed this time around I should use the word chairperson to be very categorical and clear to come and give remarks. You're welcome. Yes, and also as she comes, we will thank our online audience. Madam Chief Guest, today, this event is in live on UWA television. We have a television station where we make sure that stakeholders follow everything that we do. So we are live on UWA TV. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, MC. Our chief guest, the Deputy Head of Public Service, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, the board members, the Executive Director and staff of Uganda Wildlife Authority, the National Planning Authority, the Ministry of Public Service, development partners, the representatives of public sector, civil service, and the media, and all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I bring greetings from the chairman of board, Professor James Kalema, who is unable to be with us. He has sent his speech, however, which I'll read verbatim. But just before I do that, I would like to introduce myself. and the board members. So may I welcome the board members to come briefly and we introduce ourselves. Yes, come. So as they come, I'll start with myself. My name is Dr. Stella Atim. I work with the Ministry of Agriculture and More Industries and Fisheries as the head of Diagnostic and Epidemiological Services. I represent the Ministry of Agriculture on the board, and on the board I serve on the Human Resource Committee and Audit and Risk Committee. So I'll give the microphone to my
Thank you very much. Tukahura Mariona, my names. I represent the communities of Uganda. I serve on the Finance Committee. I also chair the Human Resources Committee. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Obigaba Kenneth Vijezichi. Outside OA, I work as environment specialist in the oil and gas sector in the Albertine region. On the OA board, I sit on the Human Resource Committee and the Audit and Risk Committee. Thank you very much.
Good morning, my name is Ray Mondengena. I'm a former staff of Uganda Wildlife Authority. I'm a board member. I chair the Audit and Risk Committee. I'm also a member of the Planning Committee. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Daniel Aleper is my name. I work in I serve in the Planning and Development Committee and in the Finance Committee. Outside OA, I work as a vice chairperson of a team implementing a presidential directive to establish a public university in Karamoja. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our chief guest, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George Owoye Sijire, Acting Commissioner Wildlife Conservation at the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, and I'm the chairperson of the Planning and Development Committee of the board, but I also serve on the Human Resources Committee. Thank you.
Jambo, sir. My name is Dr. James Msinguzi, the Executive Director and the Secretary to the Board of Trustees of the Uganda Wildlife Authority. You are welcome.
Thank you. So we can take our seats. The board's role is to provide the strategic oversight of the implementation of the 3 complementary documents that we are launching today. So I'll go ahead to read the speech from Professor Kalema, who is the chairman of the board of trustees of Uganda Wildlife Authority. The chief guest, the deputy head of public service, the permanent secretary, Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, the members of the board of trustees, the executive director and the staff of Uganda Wildlife Authority, development partners, National Planning Authority, Ministry of Public Service, the representatives of the public sector, civil society, and the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the board of Uganda Wildlife Authority, I'm pleased to welcome you to this important occasion marking the launch of the strategic plan for Uganda Wildlife Authority 2026-2030, the service delivery standards, and the client charter. Permit me to extend a very warm welcome to our chief guest, the Deputy Head of Public Service. Your presence today is a great honor to Uganda Wildlife Authority and demonstrates government's commitment to strengthening public institutions through sound governance, strategic planning, accountability, and citizen-centered delivery. Today's launch is significant because we are unveiling 3 complementary instruments that will shape the future of Uganda Wildlife Authority. I've listened with keen interest to the presentations of ED and the members of staff. They have comprehensively explained the processes of developing these documents. their content and aspirations, which the Uganda Wildlife Authority will pursue in the next 5 years. And therefore, we offer as a board the perspective why these documents are very important to us. The Strategic Plan 2026-2030 sets the institutional strategic directions. It defines where we want to go, the priorities we must pursue, and the results we seek to achieve in the wildlife conservation, sustainable tourism, and institutional development, and including stakeholder engagement. While the service delivery standards defined how we shall deliver our mandates, they establish clear benchmarks for quality, efficiency, professionalism, responsiveness, ensuring every stakeholder we engage in Wildlife Authority receives timely and reliable, high-quality services. I think this was well outlined by Mr. Kapere in the monitoring and evaluation framework. The client charter represents our commitment to the people we serve. It outlines the standard of our clients and the standards of our clients and their perspective, their rights, their responsibilities, and the mechanisms through which they can provide feedback and seek regress, because there are always complaints. When they seek regress, they should be addressed. It strengthens transparency, accountability, and public confidence in our institution. Together, these three documents will provide comprehensive framework for institutional excellency. One provides a strategic direction, another defines the service delivery standards, while the third strengthens our relationship with the people we serve. Collectively, they will reinforce the principles of good governance, performance, transparency, accountability that the board is committed to promoting across the institutions. As a board, we are particularly very pleased that these documents align with the Uganda Vision 2040, the National Development Plan, the broader public service reforms agenda that places emphasis on strategic planning, result-based management, and quality service delivery and constitutional institutional improvement. The alignment ensures that Uganda Wildlife Authority remains responsive not only to the needs of wildlife conservation, but also meet the expectation of the government and the citizens we serve. The board will continue to provide strategic oversight to ensure that effective implementation of these three documents. We expect management to remain focused on delivering the measurable results, utilizing the resources prudently, strengthening institutional systems, and embracing innovations, and building partnerships to enhance conservation and service delivery. Our oversight will be guided by the commitments contained in the documents and by the impact that will be made through the conservation outcomes and stakeholders' satisfaction. I wish to commend the Executive Director, Management, and staff of Uganda Wildlife Authority for the dedicated and professionalism they exhibited during the development of this document. I was told they did it, they consulted widely the stakeholders, and they came up with all the inputs that will help us move Uganda Wildlife Authority and the client satisfaction to the next level. Our oversight will be guided by the commitment contained within these documents. While Uganda wildlife conservation is a shared responsibility, the achievement of Uganda Wildlife Authority continues to reflect the strength of these partnerships that are contained within the three documents. To all the staff of Uganda Wildlife Authority, I would encourage you to embrace these documents as a practical tool that will guide your daily work. Whoever's success will depend not only the quality of the publication themselves, but our collective commitment to implementing the instruments faithfully and consistently. Ultimately, our aspiration is to build an institution that not only conserves Uganda's rich heritage, but also exemplifies excellence in public service. We would want Uganda Wildlife Authority to be recognized not only for protecting biodiversity, but the high quality of professionalism, integrity, efficiency, responsiveness to the people we serve, conserving for generations. Signed off by Professor James Kalema, the chairman of the Board of Trustees of Uganda Wildlife Authority. Now with the honor, I would like to invite the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities to come and address us. Thank you.
Our dear Chief Guest, Madam Deputy Head of the Public Service, the Chairperson, Board of Trustees, Uganda Wildlife Authority, and the entire membership of the Board of Trustees, staff of the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, the Principal, Hotel Training and Tourism College, Jinja, the Executive Director, Uganda Wildlife Authority, and the entire management team and the staff, tourism and conservation partners, sister or brother ministries, Ministry of Public Service, National Planning Authority, other partners, USAGA, and the store, the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Geoffrey Seremba. Substantively, I'm Under Secretary at the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. But here I'm standing in for Mrs. Doreen Katusime, our Permanent Secretary. She sends you greetings, but also with apologies that she has not been able to make it. Two events are taking place at the same time. Just at this time, there is a signing of an agreement and contract to construct the road between Chitigum and Chidepo. And it is also a significant one in the tourism development program. So she took that direction and requested me to be here, but she sends you greetings. And now let me deliver her message or her remarks. It gives me great pleasure to join you today for the launch of the Uganda Wildlife Authority Strategic Plan 2026-2030, the service delivery standards and the client charter. Permit me at the outset to extend a very warm welcome to our chief guest, the Deputy Head of Public Service. Madam Deputy Head, we are deeply honored by your presence, and this underscores government's commitment to strengthening strategic planning, institutional performance, and the quality service delivery across the public service. I also wish to congratulate the Board of Trustees, management, and staff of Uganda Wildlife Authority on reaching this important milestone. Having listened to the presentations by the Commissioner, Human Resource Management, the Executive Director, the Commissioner of Biodiversity, and Assistant Commissioner Planning, Monitoring, and Evaluation, I'm pleased that these documents have been developed through a consultative process and are well aligned with the national development priorities. Madam Chief Guest, before even proceeding, you and every stakeholder around today must have my staff noted the development of these documents and all other milestones that the authority has reached has been enabled by the teamwork and the cohesiveness both within UWA and also with its partners and stakeholders. And for that, we commend and congratulate the authority. As the parent ministry, we attach great importance to strategic planning and institutional performance. Uganda Wildlife Authority plays a central role in conserving Uganda's wildlife resources, safeguarding biodiversity, and supporting tourism. And these are one of Uganda's country's priority sectors for economic growth and socio-economic transformation. It is therefore important that the authority continues to operate with a clear strategic direction, strong institutional systems, and a firm commitment to excellent service delivery. The three documents being launched today complement one another. The strategic plan provides the institutional roadmap for the next 5 years. The service delivery standards establish the quality of services that stakeholders should expect from Uganda Wildlife Authority, while the client charter demonstrates the authority's commitment to transparency, accountability, and citizen-centered service delivery. The trio of these documents anchor the broader framework of public service reform, of public service performance, and strengthening of efficiency, effectiveness, and excellency. And we are very happy that the tourism development program to which UWA is member is complying in this implementation. I wish to commend the National Planning Authority for the technical guidance provided during the review process and for approving the strategic plan. Allow me also to express our appreciation to the Ministry of Public Service for reviewing and approving the service delivery standards and the client charter, and for its continued guidance in promoting quality service delivery across government institutions. These collaborations demonstrate the importance of interinstitutional support in strengthening public sector performance and ensuring that our institutions remain aligned with government policies and standards. As the ministry, we expect these documents to guide institutional decision-making, improve operational efficiency, strengthen accountability, and enhance the quality of services delivered to tourists, researchers, investors, neighboring communities, and all other stakeholders. Their success will ultimately be measured by the results they deliver and the confidence they inspire among the people we serve. I commend the Board of Trustees for providing strategic oversight and management for steering this important process to completion. I also thank our partners and conservation stakeholders for their continued support to Uganda Wildlife Authority and the conservation sector. As I conclude, I wish to reaffirm the ministry's commitment to providing the policy guidance and oversight necessary for Uganda Wildlife Authority to successfully implement these important institutional instruments. Madam Chief Guest, it's now my singular honor and privilege to invite you to deliver your keynote address and thereafter to officially launch the Uganda Wildlife Authority Strategic Plan 2026-2030, the Service Delivery Standards, and the Client Charter. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming the Deputy Head of Public Service. I thank you for God and my country.
the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, represented by Mr. Selemba, the Under Secretary, the Chairperson and members of Board of Trustees, the Executive Director, Uganda Wildlife Authority, heads of department and other senior staff of UWA, the representative of the Executive Director, National Planning Authority, the representative of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, all who are partners and stakeholders, the members of the Fourth Estate, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. A nation that protects its wildlife protects its future. Do you agree? And today we gather not merely to launch a strategic plan, not merely to launch a client charter and the service delivery standards. We gather to renew our collective commitment to safeguarding one of Uganda's greatest national assets, and that is our rich and diverse wildlife heritage. And from the mountain gorillas of Windy to the elephants of Murchison Falls that we have been seeing here in pictures, and the tree climbing lions of Ishasha that I have just seen also in those pictures, Uganda's wildlife is not only a source of national pride and identity, it is also a strategic national resource that contributes significantly to tourism, livelihoods, environmental sustainability, and economic transformation. And ladies and gentlemen, the decisions that we make here today will determine whether future generations inherit a country whose national heritage has been protected, sustainably managed, and transformed into a source of prosperity for all. That's why we are here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce myself once again. I know I've been introduced, but this is a new position that is not known, and I want to mention what it is. I'm Jane Charisima Mwesiga, Deputy Head of Public Service, and I'm responsible for performance and service delivery. And I sit in the office of the Prime Minister, and my role briefly is to support the Prime Minister and the Head of Public Service in the coordination of implementation of government programs, projects, policies across the entire service. And when we mention the entire service, we are talking about ministries, departments, agencies, local governments, and other public institutions. So my role is a supportive role in the coordination of implementation of government programs, and I sit between two offices. I support the Prime Minister and I support the Head of Public Service in doing that. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to join you this morning to officiate at the launch of the Uganda Wildlife Authority Strategic Plan, the Client Charter, and Service Delivery Standards for the period 2025-2026 to 2029-2030. This occasion marks an important milestone in strengthening institutional performance, accountability, and citizen-centered service delivery in Uganda's wildlife and conservation sector. I commend the Board of Trustees, management, staff, and all the stakeholders who have contributed to the development of these strategic instruments. Their preparation demonstrates foresight, commitment, and an appreciation that sustainable conservation requires deliberate planning, effective implementation, and strong accountability mechanisms. And since morning, since we came here, you've listened speech after speech, and this actually has been demonstrated, that it has been a whole of government, a whole of society consultation, and the documents that they have produced and we are launching this morning are actually a reflection of that partnership. I therefore want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Board of Trustees, management staff, and all the stakeholders upon this milestone. At the heart of public service transformation is one fundamental question. What value are we creating for the citizens that we serve? So that's a fundamental question that we should always ask ourselves. What value are we creating for the citizens that we serve? Public institutions exist not merely to implement activities or spend budgets. They exist to create public value, the tangible and the intangible benefits that improve the lives of citizens and strengthen our nation. That's why institutions are created. That's why we exist as institutions. And that's why when you look at the Auditor General's reports now, they are concentrating so much more on value for money audits or performance audits. It's not about how much money you've spent, but what you've been able to achieve in terms of improving the lives of the people that we serve. We exist because those citizens exist. So for Uganda Wildlife Authority, public value is created in many ways, in my view, but you can add on what I'm going to mention. It is created when our national parks and protected areas are conserved for future generations, and when we have created environmental and ecological value. So when we do that, we have created environmental and ecological value. When tourism attracts visitors, generates foreign exchange, and creates jobs for our young people, we have created economic value. When communities neighboring protected areas benefit from revenue sharing, as I have seen, you've demonstrated that, community projects and employment opportunities, we have created social value. When wildlife habitats protect forests, water catchment, and ecosystems that support agriculture and human well-being, we have created sustainability and resilience value. When Uganda's unique biodiversity enhances our global reputation as the Pearl of Africa, we create national and reputational value. Very, very critical. Very, very critical. Indeed, every gorilla protected, every elephant conserved, every tourist welcomed, every community empowered, and every ecosystem restored represents value delivered to the people of Uganda. So that's the value you are creating. And I have seen this demonstrated in the 3 documents that you presented this morning. So this strategic plan, therefore, should not only guide the activities of Uganda Wildlife Authority, it should clearly demonstrate how the institution will increase the public value it creates for present and future generations. Uganda is blessed with exceptional natural heritage. Our national parks, wildlife reserves, and protected areas are among the most diverse and beautiful in the world. They are home to unique ecosystems, endangered species, and iconic attractions that form the backbone of our tourism industry. I'll tell you a very short story what happened when I was still working in the Ministry of Public Service, and I was responsible for establishment of the Civil Service College. So when we did that, we wanted to support And one of the major areas was actually tourism. We supported tourism. We got a team, one of our partners from Estonia, Ministry of Tourism, you recall, I worked with, that time there was a lady who was the director for tourism, Mumbabazi. Oh, yes. So I even took her to Estonia to see what they are doing, because Estonia is doing very well in terms of tourism. And how we connected is that the Civil Service College advisor whom we gotten at that time to support us was from Estonia. So she became very close to me, and we did that partnership, and we said, why don't you support us? So we actually, through their support, we established the tourism information centers. So when you are entering Entebbe, the tourism information center you see there, that was what I did as part of the work we were doing with Civil Service College and Estonia. I think we did another one in Jinja. We established another one at the headquarters at the Ministry of Tourism. I hope it is still working. And then we supported also the National Theatre. We did one at the National Theatre, because we were saying, as tourists come in, they need this information. So the story I wanted to mention is that while we were doing this work and went to Estonia, took your people, we even got some people who went to Estonia, they were trained, and we had that exchange program. I think it has since stopped. Public service, you need to pick it up. Now, when I was in Estonia, I was looking at so many people. So this lady tells me and says, but you know, I was with that lady, for the director tourism, said, actually the population of the tourists in Estonia was bigger than the population of the people, than the Estonians. So I said, how do you do this? But she said, you know what, having come to Uganda and seen what you have, this richness in terms of your heritage, in terms of your, those beautiful and diverse, protected areas, the animals and all that stuff. I said, for us in Estonia, we know what? We sell air. We don't have anything we are selling compared to Uganda. We are selling air. So I think that's where we started and said, how do you support us? So she said, no, we can. So that's how we started. So we are really rich. So how we do it, through these documents we are launching today, makes a very, very big difference. And I'm really happy that even throughout your discussions and presentations, I've seen a demonstration of commitment to do that and even to improve. When I went to Ishasha, I was telling the ED, I think it was in 2013, 2014. We paid our money. I think I was about to demand that my money is paid back. We tried to track that, climbing lions. We failed. But I saw in the picture, and he has confirmed that now they have multiplied and they are very many. I think I need to go back and see how you've been able to transform this area. So I really want to appreciate this. So wildlife conservation, therefore, is not only an environmental imperative, it is also an economic necessity. The tourism sector remains one of Uganda's leading sources of foreign exchange and employment creation and community livelihoods. The protection and sustainable utilization of our wildlife resources directly contribute to the implementation of the 4th National Development Plan and the Uganda's 10-fold growth strategy that is aimed at expanding Uganda's economy. It is encouraging that the strategic plan before us rightly focuses on sustainable management of wildlife and protected areas, biodiversity conservation and ecosystem restoration, tourism development and investment promotion, community participation and benefit sharing, technology and innovation in conservation management, institutional strengthening and resilience, and strategic partnerships for conservation and sustainable development. Equally important are the client charter and service delivery standards that are being launched today. And these, as has already been said, are instruments that clearly define the services that UWA offers, the standards that citizens and stakeholders should expect, and the responsibilities of both service providers and the service users. They represent a social contract between Uganda Wildlife Authority and the people of Uganda. They reinforce the principles of transparency, accountability, responsiveness, and citizen-centered service delivery that are at the heart of public sector transformation. And as government, we are increasingly placing emphasis on results, accountability, and measurable improvements in service delivery. Strategic plans, client charters, and service delivery standards are not merely compliance documents. So government is not saying, please come up with these documents because we want to tick the boxes. No. So these documents drive performance. They create public value and ensure that public institutions deliver tangible outcomes for the citizens. Their success will ultimately be judged by the extent to which they improve conservation outcomes, enhance visitor experiences, strengthen community livelihoods, and contribute to Uganda's national development. However, good policies and strategies alone do not deliver results. The real test lies in implementation, and this has already been emphasized by the chairperson and other members. The real test lies in implementation, it lies in coordination, it lies in monitoring and accountability. And as presented by Susan, our role as Office of the Prime Minister, as the chief coordinators of implementation of government programs and projects, we shall continuously monitor to ensure that this is implemented. The success of this strategic plan will therefore not be measured by the number of meetings held, reports produced, or projects implemented. It will be measured by the value created for the people of Uganda, and this will be demonstrated through better protected wildlife and ecosystems, increased tourism arrivals and revenues, reduced incidences of poaching and illegal wildlife trade, improved relationships with communities, neighboring the protected areas, enhanced visit experience and citizen satisfaction, and more jobs and livelihoods that are created, and greater contribution of the tourism and wildlife sector to national development. And achieving these aspirations will require a whole of government and whole of society approach, because conservation cannot be the responsibility of Uganda Wildlife Authority alone. It requires collaboration among government institutions, the local governments, the development partners, the private sector, conservation organizations, local communities, and every citizen of Uganda. Because I've seen many times you are struggling with these communities who are poaching, you are struggling with the local government. Sometimes you have achieved greater strides, but then when you go to the local governments, they are doing a completely different thing. So I believe you need to do much more with your partners to ensure that they share in your dream, especially the local governments. You need to come up with a strategy on how you are going to work with them to take this to the level that you want. So communities living around protected areas in particular must be viewed not merely as beneficiaries, but as indispensable partners in conservation. When communities see and experience the benefits of conservation, they become its stronger custodians and defenders. As the Office of the Prime Minister, and specifically under my mandate for performance and service delivery, we remain committed to supporting Uganda Wildlife Authority and all public institutions by strengthening institutional and human resource capacity, by promoting efficiency and innovation and results-oriented management, supporting the implementation of performance management systems, enhancing monitoring and evaluation, and providing strategic oversight and guidance to improve service delivery and accountability. I have said this over and over again. Many times when we come to monitor and support, sometimes we are mistaken to be like Auditor General, Anti-Corruption Unit, IGG. For us, we are supportive. We provide a supportive role. Our role is to find out the facts on the ground, identify those bottlenecks that could be impeding your performance, and then we work with you and support you. So let us know, even when we are not there, to know where you are challenged, and we shall ensure that we come to support you. Uganda Wildlife Authority occupies a strategic position in our country's development agenda. The institution has the opportunity not only to conserve wildlife, but also to demonstrate how public institutions can effectively balance environmental sustainability, economic growth, and community well-being. A very, very strategic opportunity. And I can see that you are using this to deliver your mandate, and I do appreciate. The other day, I happened to be at a function where the ED was, and your head of HR. And I told the team that was seated near me that, when you find these two together, then you know that you do not have to struggle in terms of achieving the results of the institution. Because I know both of them. I know where they worked before. They have a demonstrated track record of excellence in terms of service delivery. So the Board of Trustees, you have really gold amidst you. But also when I came this morning and saw the other team members, the heads of department, the assistant commissioners that have been introduced, and the entire team and all the stakeholders, I don't even think that the sky even is the limit for you. So I really congratulate you upon having this great team. And I'm confident that with committed leadership, dedicated staff, and strong partnerships that have been demonstrated here, Uganda Wildlife Authority will continue to safeguard our priceless natural heritage and position Uganda as a premier tourism destination and a global leader in conservation. And on behalf of the Office of the Prime Minister, the Office of the Head of Public Service and Secretary to Cabinet, and in my capacity as the Deputy Head of Public Service, responsible for performance and service delivery, I once again congratulate the board, management, and staff of Uganda Wildlife Authority on this important achievement, and assure you of our continued support in the implementation of these strategic documents. It's now my singular honor and privilege to officially launch the Uganda Wildlife Authority Strategic Plan, the Client Charter, and Service Delivery Standards for the period 2025-2026 to 2029-2030. I thank you for your kind attention, and I say all this for God and my country.
Thank you very much, our chief guest. I'm going to request that you do not actually sit, but rather you are joined by the permanent secretary, chairperson of the board and board members, first and members of top management, and because we need to sign these dummy documents, and then we shall have a group photo. Thank you very much. Yes, and board members, please, board members, you accompany the chairperson. Even private sector, we are all going to sign, but we can't do it at the same time because of space. So we have the, okay, fine, here we are. The ED is also part of the body, Banangi. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. I see the permanent secretary is also going to sign. Can we have colleagues from NPA and the Ministry of Public Service, please? Yes. Colleagues from the Ministry of Public Service, National Planning Authority, please join in. Don't fear, this signature won't do any harm. Eh? Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I would like to request colleagues here to help me. Who are staff, please, who are here, can kindly reach. Come, we have a word. Wanok, Jean, I see. Yes, yes, come. Who are staff? Yes, come. Yes. Yes. Yes, you can append a heavy signature there to demonstrate that actually you believe these documents are going to be implemented. We've got the commitment from the board and the executive director that these must be implemented to the letter. And for us, as the action officers, all we do, we say we'll call over and we continue. Yes. Please, members of top management, please come in. Our stakeholders, please join in. Members of senior management, you are the guys who are going to implement these documents. So don't fear signing them. And every signature you append there is a commitment that you are going to implement. I want to see who is going to avoid signing. Because I'm going to see, is Kapere going to sign this SP or not, for example? I want to be sure. You know, a man spent sleepless nights with the SP. If he doesn't sign, I'll get worried. Yes. Having spent sleepless nights working on a document, I want to see also you committing that you'll implement it. Mr. Makombo has already committed that he's going to implement this. The Commissioner Human Resources has already committed. The ED has committed. I've seen the Acting Commissioner Finance and Admin committing. The Commissioner Field Operations is making a commitment there. Commissioner Legal and Corporate Affairs has also committed. Acting Commissioner Tourism is also making a commitment there. Herbert Biargaba, Chairperson Usaga, is also committing as guides. They're also going to help us. Yes. Mr. Bizimungu. Yes. Bizimungu is the Honorary Wildlife Officer and the former Chairperson LC5 for Chisoro District. Very, very supportive of wildlife conservation. Yes. Abel Bizimungu, thank you very much. We appreciate you. I see the Commissioner Community Conservation is also making a commitment there by way of appending his signature. And then Assistant Commissioner Monitoring and Evaluation is also doing the same. And Assistant Commissioner Conservation Planning is also doing the same. I see the Assistant Commissioner Investigations and Intelligence is also doing the same. Kwegamba, everyone. The pilot is also, Assistant Commissioner, the pilot is also doing the same. I'm seeing the Assistant Commissioner, Human Wildlife Conflict. All these people are making a statement of commitment. Now, if you see someone who is not committing, tomorrow you may not hold them responsible. So we need to see who is dodging. I want to see whether, for example, the Assistant Commissioner of Human Resources is going to append a signature or not. We are waiting to see. Philo, we are waiting for you to come and append your signature here. Meanwhile, we are making arrangements for a group photo here. We'll have our group photo from here inside. Yes, our partners are also coming. Yes, shortly we are going to have a group photo and then retreat for lunch. Chief Warden, Queen Elizabeth Conservation Area, Kisame Fred, is here ready to make a statement of commitment to the implementation of the 3 strategic documents, and is followed by the Chief Warden, Lekimboro Conservation Area. Mr. Wanyama Freddy is also there to make a commitment to the implementation of these strategic documents. Assistant Commissioner, Conservation, Education and Awareness, Vanis Mirembe, is also here to make a statement of commitment to the implementation of these 3 strategic documents. Of course, all the board members have already, at least those who are here, they have appended their signature and they are committing that implementing these documents is non-negotiable. Yes. Yes. No, we can have these ones in the background, it's okay. I don't know whether it will be possible, but we need just for the board and for only this table. Largely, once we have this table covered. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to have our group photo and then break off for lunch. Of course, after lunch, the departure will be at leisure. So we are going now to have a group photo. Yes. Things being what they are, some will sit and others will stand. Oh, thank you. Yes, now for our online viewers, we would like to thank you for being with us this morning. We have launched the 3 strategic documents for Uganda Wildlife Authority, the strategic plan, the service delivery standards, and the client charter. We've been privileged to have the Deputy Head of Public Service to preside over this important function, and we thank you for always following all the channels where we have these events being streamed live. Asante sana. We are now going to have a group